Hi everyone, welcome to DIY Ideas. So today we're doing a coffee bag or actually a shopping bag. I think you can even use this for potatoes and onions and similar. So definitely a multi-practical thing to have around. I think it's also really pretty. I love this design and the style. Also, I made it super easy so that everyone can try it out, even if you're a beginner. So you may notice that my fabric is a little bit rougher, but you can always find different styles of this fabric. So the finer it is, the easier it'll be for you to work with it. So you can do this without or with the handles. That's completely up to you and your needs. And yeah, if you're ready, I think we can get started right away. So you will need a coffee sack fabric or anything of that kind. As I said, mine is a little bit rougher, but there are different styles that you can find. The finer it is, the easier it'll be to work with. So if you're a beginner, I definitely recommend finding something a little bit finer if you're able to. So this one will do anyway. For the inside, I'll do a regular cotton fabric, but I definitely recommend something that doesn't stretch. It's going to be a lot easier, especially if you're a beginner. Then, of course, we need some matching thread, pins, something to measure with, and fabric scissors. The pattern is super simple, so you can of course adjust my version if you'd like, but I'll show you the basic kind and then you can start from there. So all the pieces you're gonna need from the outside and the inside fabric are gonna be the same, so just doubled. So yeah, once the side piece, I'll show you on the green fabric, but as I said, you're gonna need the same piece out of both types. So this is the biggest piece that actually forms the tunnel shape. So this is about 33 centimeters or 13 inches in its height. So of course you can make the height taller or shorter as you wish. So that's up to you. Then we will round it so that it has a round bottom section or bottom base. So the side dimension is in my case 68 centimeters or 27 inches. So the whole thing is 68 times 33 centimeters or 27 times 13 inches. So that's the size that I'm gonna do, but you can of course adjust this as you like I mentioned, smaller or bigger or whatever you like. So of course you can adjust this if you're doing the same size like I am. You're gonna have a circle for the bottom that's actually in its diameter 20.5 centimeters or about 8 inches. So that's the circle, the same I have out of the other fabric. And if you have a different size, that you can of course calculate that. So all that matters is this side on the bottom that's gonna go around the circle. So as I said, in my case, it was 68 centimeters and I actually reduced it by 3 centimeters because I have the stitches to do, or about a little bit over an inch, I guess. So I got 65 centimeters, which would be 26 inches, and I just took that as my circumference of the circle that I want to do. So if you want to adjust, you can always use the formula. It's 2 times number pi times r, and that way you can of course get your radius or your diameter. It doesn't matter, each will work. So of course you can calculate this online. There are many sites that do that, but all in all you just need the circumference and your length to be aligned. So that should be exactly the same plus about an inch or 2.5 to 3 centimeters for the stitches. So that way you get both pieces done at the same time. So that's our circle base. And yeah, as I said, 68 centimeters times 33 or 27 inches times 13 is the size that I have. Then of course we have the bottom out of the inside and outside fabric, so that's our circle. So that's 20.5 centimeters. And then optionally you can do handles. Of course it goes without just fine, but I'm going to show you how in case you want to do this too. So you're going to need 2 times of each, so inside and outside fabric. The size that I took is 44 centimeters times 7, or in inches 17 times almost 3, so a little bit under 3 inches. So of course I'm doing an inside and an outside this time, simply because when you do it out of this rougher fabric, it's a little bit trickier to fold it in half, especially because it can fray easily, so we don't really want that happening this time. Hence the green fabric this time, and yeah, that's gonna be our handle. So this is the size that I chose, but you can of course adjust this according to your own needs and wishes. Okay, so we're gonna start right away with the handles, and as you can see, I'm taking this green piece first and I'm aligning it or straightening it here. I'm gonna align this pretty side around, so I want the pretty side facing the green fabric itself. So you see that it frays really easily, you can already tell on my piece, so that's why we're doing an inside and an outside. So it's going to be a little bit narrower than what we actually want to do, so because of the stitches of course, that's also going to keep it from fraying. And if you have a rougher piece of fabric like I do, I recommend doing a wider zigzag stitch, simply because it's a lot easier, because it catches a lot more of the fabric and it keeps it in place. So anyway, pretty side on pretty side, make sure you align all ends. You can of course stitch along the open sides, make sure to do a wider zigzag stitch, so that's definitely something that's going to keep it in place. And yeah, other than that, just do the longer sides all the way to the other end, so from one end to the other on both sides of course, and then we're going to turn this inside out. Okay, so here we are. I cut the leftover fabric off and you see that it looks a lot neater now, and I did this with the whole edge, the longer edges on both sides. On the back side you can see the stitch itself, and I have here already a safety pin that I'm going to use to turn this inside out. So since the fabric is a lot thicker or a lot rougher, you're gonna need a little bit of time to do this, but I do recommend taking your time, being patient, because you might rip your fabric or your stitches if you don't. So definitely take your time and yeah, be patient. So of course this rougher fabric on the outside isn't as cooperative as I'd like it to be, but that doesn't mean that I can't work with it. Okay, so there we are. I think I did it, or at least a significant piece of it. So this pulling part is actually one of the easiest. Okay, so there we go, and you can see what this looks like now. So of course you can kind of straighten it a little bit. You can do it from the outside like here. So I actually closed here the entire thing. I didn't just do the wider side, so also the little sides on here, and that way it looks a little bit different, but depending on what style you want, I just wanted to show you both so that you can decide which one you like better and which one is easier for you. So as you saw, I did an extra stitch over it just to flatten it a little bit. That's also an option that you can do. But yeah, all in all, we're done with our handles already. So this was step number 1. And yeah, now we can continue. So the handles can go to the side. Of course, you can adjust the size, as I said before. The inside I like actually a lot. I think it looks really interesting. It would have been a little bit too rough with just this outside fabric that we have. So that's kind of a nice contrast to it. Anyway, here are our 2 handles. Now we can continue with the rest of our project. here is the main piece that we want. So the biggest piece as well in this project. So we need the outside fabric on here. So yeah, let me just find the beginning, and I'm gonna unfold the whole thing. So in case you can't see it really nicely, this is the height here, this side, so the 33 centimeters. So that's this side here, and this is the pretty side. So we want it folded like this so that it's pretty side on pretty side, so that they're facing each other. And yeah, then you fold, you also make sure that it's really nicely aligned. You want to be precise here, make sure all edges, all corners are nice. And when you're sure, then you can actually get to the stitching itself. So this of course goes for both types of fabric. You're gonna do the same with both, and then you can already get to stitching your bottom onto this. So this type of fabric you're gonna do actually with a regular stitch. You don't need a zigzag for that, but just remember when you switch to the rougher type, just make sure you switch back to the special zigzag stitch. So what I forgot to mention, but it's still really important, as far as the inside fabric goes, you do want a little opening somewhere on the side, since that's where we're going to turn it inside out when we're done. So this is my opening. I did it a bit bigger because the rougher fabric kind of makes it difficult to work with. So everything else I'm going to stitch up. The same I'm going to do on the side here as well, with a little opening just to make it easier for the handles to fit inside. So that's why we are doing that opening. This one is just for turning it inside out, so the pretty sides are inside. Okay, so here are my circles, and here is my little tunnel, as I'm gonna call it. So you can already see that I fixed the corners here, or the leftover fabrics, so the little wings, so to speak. So now we just want to align the circle with the tunnel itself. So for that, just take your stitch first. You do want it aligned, or you do want to know where your stitch is, and I recommend you start with that. It's simply the easiest way to work with it. So yeah, definitely pin it to keep it in place. And just go all around and keep pinning. Okay, so here we are. You can see our bottom now, and I think it looks great already. So you can kind of see the bag shape as it is, so the inside at least. Yeah, the pretty side is still on the inside. We're gonna push that to the side, and I actually already did the other one the same way, and I turned it inside out. You can also see on here that I did the handles as well. So I just stitched them with a regular, or with the zigzag stitch that we kept doing with the rougher fabric. And yeah, you see here I aligned them so that they're the same on both sides. I think it looks prettier that way. And apart from that, just a regular stitch on here, the zigzag stitch I mean. And that's pretty much what keeps it together and what's gonna keep it secured on here. So yeah, now what we need to do is push this big piece into the inside piece. We're gonna turn it later, so the outside piece for now goes inside. It might be a bit tricky, but it's doable. And then we're just gonna do a stitch here on top, so that's all we're doing. I recommend you also align your stitches from the outside and the inside piece, so that way you're gonna keep it a lot neater in the end and actually very, very symmetrical and neat. So this is actually the only section you need to really take care about. Everything else is just gonna fall into place when you start from there. Also feel free to pin, that way it's easier, and just stitch along the whole thing all around. Also here, we're gonna turn it inside out with the opening, so you can just do the whole round all around without thinking about any openings. Okay, so here I am now, and you see I kind of fixed the fraying sections and the stitches on here. I actually did it doubled. Here is the opening still, so we gotta turn it inside out, and then later we're gonna close that as well. So yeah, this is going to be a little bit tricky because the fabric is rough. It doesn't really cooperate as far as folding goes, but still take your time. That's why we made a little bit bigger opening, and it can definitely work. Okay, here we are for now. So you see here now the inside is actually on the inside, or actually pulled out, because we do want to close this before we push the whole thing in and get our bag shape. So just align this nicely. You can also pin this if you like, if that's easier for you. And you can do this, of course, by hand, or you can do it with the machine itself. Just make sure it's looking good, it's looking neat, and nothing is folded in where it's not supposed to be. So just a regular straight stitch here. Okay, so here is our bag now. You can see the top section here. I kind of fixed the frayed sections. I did another stitch over it. I don't know if you can see it nicely, but it's definitely there to keep everything in place and keep it from fraying. And yeah, you can now see the whole result. I'm gonna show you the bottom as well as the top, and the handles on here that are optional, just like we mentioned. I really like the rougher fabric, the coffee sack fabric. I think it looks really great, and there's a lot of room inside. That's of course due to the side or the size, but you can do this any way you like, so smaller or bigger depending on your needs and the amount of fabric that you have, of course. So this can be used for shopping as well. You can use it for storing potatoes, onions, and similar things in your home. So yeah, it's also pretty forgiving because the fabric itself is really rough. It kind of hides your mistakes in case you had any, and it still looks the same way. So I really like the style, I guess, of it. That of course depends up to you, but yeah, if you can find a finer fabric, as I said, if you're a beginner, that might work a little bit better and it may be a little bit easier for you. But this is definitely something that is zero waste, that's recyclable, or not recyclable, but reusable. So I hope you guys enjoyed. Feel free to shoot us a thumbs up if you did. Let me know how you like the design, if you change anything, if you do it exactly the same, maybe a different size. So yeah, thanks for watching DIY Ideas. I hope you guys enjoyed today's project. If you did, feel free to shoot us a thumbs up. And if you'd like to stay updated with our other projects, feel free to subscribe to our channel by clicking on the subscribe button. And yeah, thanks for watching. Hope to see you next time. Have a great day. Bye!